Another episode of In the Treehouse. So happy for you to join us today. And just always enjoy having this time to talk with business owners about their dreams. And have with me today Greg Santini, who is a friend of mine for many years now.
Yeah, going on 5 years.
Going on 5 years,
Yeah.
we've been friends, and I am excited to have him here with me to talk about your journey and your dreams and all of that. Before we dig into that, I do want to thank our sponsor, both Action Coach, which I am an action coach, and if you are a business owner and you are looking to accelerate your business and do so much more with your business, your call to action today is to reach out, follow, subscribe, get in touch with me. There's plenty of ways to get in touch with me, and let's have a conversation. My other sponsor, of course, is Fist Bump. So happy to have Fist Bump, who is helping me to produce these shows. They are an incredible company who works with individuals like myself to accelerate your LinkedIn connections. They help you to become that knowledge expert in your field so that people come to you, people get to know you, rather than you having to do all those cold calls that everybody hates and all the traditional sorts of things. I don't think there's been one person on the show who has said, "Yeah, I love doing cold calls." Yeah, it's get rid of all that. Talk to Fist Bump. They're a great company. We'll tell you that in a month, if you have, I'll just put a plug in for them as well. March 13th, they're doing a special workshop in Alpharetta. If you don't know your ideal client profile, if you don't know how to target folks, they are working with companies and owners to really spend a day and get to know who your ideal client is. So that's Fist Bump. So happy to have them with us today. So all that's out of the way. Let's get to the conversation. So Greg, as with every guest that comes on the show, when you were a kid, whatever age, what was your treehouse and where did you hang out? And what did you do?
Yeah, well, we didn't have a treehouse when I was a kid, but played a lot outside with my brothers. A lot of basketball, a lot of sports. Wiffle ball, basketball, riding bikes with my friends.
Where were you? Where was that? Here in Georgia?
This is up in upstate New York in Rochester.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you had about 3 months to play outside.
Yeah. Yeah. Not too much unlike this weather here, but just thinking about. It's a great question, and just thinking about how much fun I had playing outside with my buddies.
Yeah.
Playing, kill the guy with the ball, football.
Yeah.
Or just playing with GI Joes outside, putting firecrackers, in GI Joe's hand and watching them blow.
Yeah.
That was we had a lot of fun when I was a kid.
Yeah. Those younger kids, this show is not for kids. We do not endorse some of these activities these days, but we sure had. I remember the little black cat firecrackers.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Digging a foxhole for him and putting one in there.
Right. Yeah. Or the Evil Knievel, the thing where you zipped out, and Evil Knievel go, screaming across the floor. So just a lot of fun with my brothers and my buddies when I lived up in New York.
Yeah, that was cool. So, so you grew up and graduated high school in Rochester, and
no, right after I turned 12, I moved to East Cobb and grew up in Marietta.
Okay.
And graduated high school. Graduated from Kennesaw State University.
Yeah.
With an accounting degree in the business school.
Okay.
And so, 25 years. My first 25 years of my career was in accounting, so corporate and private.
Okay. Yeah. Very good. So you know numbers.
I do. I like to think I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I enjoy. I still, running my business. Those days of. I still enjoy getting into my books and making sure everything's reconciled and cleaned up.
Yeah.
Well, I know some business owners don't like doing that, but that's one of the fun things I like to do.
Yeah. Did you work with small business owners or in private, or who did you work with when you were in private?
I worked in corporate for a global fleet leasing company for about 17 years, and then worked for a small a medium-sized law firm in Cumming
Okay,
for about 10 years.
okay. So you did their full accounting?
Yes.
Not, you weren't like an accountant for other businesses, you were like.
No, I was corporate accountant.
Yeah.
So, yeah, not public accountant.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so I worked in the corporate world. I've only had 2 jobs in my career.
Yeah.
So that was kind of pretty proud of that. I didn't hop around.
Yeah. So when you were a kid, and I assume, you said you moved to Marietta. I assume you came with your family.
Right. Yeah. Right after I turned 12, my dad got transferred to Marietta. He worked for a company that wanted to open up operations in Atlanta. This is the late 70s.
Yeah.
So a lot of folks were migrating to the Atlanta area.
Yeah.
And my family was one of them.
Yeah.
So yeah, we packed up.
Marietta wasn't much of anything back then.
No, it was pretty small,
Yeah.
kind of growing. It was, East Cobb was the place to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why they chose that.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
And Kennesaw State, great school.
Yeah, at the time, it was only a commuter school.
Yeah.
Maybe less than 10,000 students. And so did that, worked part-time. So I worked my way through college.
Yeah.
And
Your degree was finance?
accounting.
Accounting?
Yeah. So from the business school, I got my accounting degree.
So when did you decide you wanted to go into accounting?
Well, it wasn't until I wanted to be kind of a journalist.
Okay.
And at one point, but after a couple of years, I don't know, that just kind of was falling away.
Yeah.
And I took now this is, mid 80s.
Yeah.
And took a business course which was teaching database, word processing, and Lotus 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
So if you remember Lotus 1, 2, 3,
I do.
that, I don't know, I fell in love with working with spreadsheets. If that
Yeah.
sounds crazy, but
Yeah.
I really enjoyed working with spreadsheets.
That was all before Excel.
Yes, yeah, this is before Excel. And I just really enjoyed that. And so, being that I'd gone to school for a couple of years, it was time to make a decision what I was going to do, what I was going to major in.
Yeah.
And I just said, well, I'm going to pick accounting.
Yeah.
I can use Excel. I can use Lotus 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
I like doing spreadsheets.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was going to be one of the harder things to do, but made it through.
Yeah.
So, and I still today, a lot of the organizations that I belong to, I typically migrate to the financial role
In the treasury.
so that I can do, so I still get to, scratch my itch with building spreadsheet models and things like that. I'm sure everybody's really excited to hear about accounting and spreadsheets. That's two of the most boring things you could talk about.
Well, they may be boring, however, they're vital.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And to be successful, you got to track those numbers and you got to track the KPIs.
Exactly.
And if you don't do that, you're going to be in trouble.
And that's what I did. I was, especially in the corporate role, after I did, I was at the staff level for 3 years, but got to be responsible for building pricing models and doing some analysis with the sales team, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Building commission models. So I got into and some specialized software too for forecasting. I enjoyed building models.
Yeah.
And using Excel at that time.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. So you were in corporate and then went to the law firm.
Yep.
And you were there for
About 10 years.
10 years. Okay. And then at some point, you said, this isn't for me anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I had, got to be in my early 50s and had kind of, been there, done that with accounting. And I don't know, I felt kind of a yearning to do something else, but didn't know what that was.
Yeah.
And going back 5 years before this time, I had started a ministry in my church, doing a homebound ministry.
Yeah.
Working with seniors or visiting seniors.
Yeah.
So I'm Catholic, and I'm commissioned by our parish to go and deliver communion to folks that couldn't make it to Mass on Sundays. I was going to assisted living communities, and just really visiting with seniors.
Yeah.
And didn't realize I had this, passion for, sitting down, advocating for seniors, I enjoyed that ministry. I still do it today.
Yeah.
But just, it wasn't just show up and give them communion. It was really sitting and talking with them, just kind of like we are now, just life experiences,
Yeah.
talking about what they did in their careers. And so, yeah, that kind of went for 5 years. And then when we decided to make a change, went through a business broker, and assisted living locators kind of, was out there as a franchise. We're a national franchise. And the territory here in Forsyth County was open.
Yeah.
And so looked into that and just was like, okay, now I know why I've been working on this ministry for the last few years.
Yeah. Well, I want to get back to that here in a second, but I want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to jump too fast over some of the beginnings of that.
Yeah.
Because I think there's something there for folks who are watching that may be like in corporate and may even enjoy what they do in corporate, but it's not necessarily fulfilling what's really in their heart.
Yeah.
And I almost wonder if that's kind of what you experienced those 5 years before, where it's like, this is a good job, I'm making good money, and everything is fine, but there's something missing.
Yeah. Yeah, for me it was just working for I worked for some great people.
Yeah.
At both locations. But I was always doing stuff for them or for their business.
Yeah.
And I always thought, well, if it was my business, I would do it this way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was kind of the itch that I had. I was never really entrepreneurial per se, but I just kind of had this itch where I was like, if I had my own business, I'd do it this way.
Yeah.
Or I'd run it this way. Yeah. Or I'd make this decision. Maybe the team or whoever didn't go along with what I wanted to do.
Yeah. Yeah. So did your church have that ministry before you started, or did you start that ministry?
No, it was already there.
Okay.
And I had started doing other things in the church because I wanted to get more involved. My kids were little at the time, so I was teaching, doing some classes. I'm on the finance council, still do that today. And then I don't know, somebody tapped me on the shoulder and said, I want you to do this ministry.
Yeah.
Didn't know why.
Yeah.
But, signed up to get commissioned by the church to do that.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, 5 years later, it was kind of revealed to me that maybe this is what you should be doing. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome how God worked in your life in this way to prepare you.
Yeah, so it's totally something different than what I was used to. When you think about changing a career, I was 52 years old at the time.
Yeah.
Had been doing finance and accounting for over 25 years.
Yeah.
And you're just like, this is all I know what to do.
Yeah.
But I'm not happy doing it.
Yeah.
And, luckily I've got a great wife that supported me.
Yeah.
And making that decision.
Yeah.
And saying, you know what, I'm going to try something different.
Yeah. It's a scary time.
Yeah, it's a big decision.
It's a big decision.
Yeah.
And I think, what I find is people who make that decision, right? It's terrifying because you don't know where you're going, but you're also tremendously excited about it.
Yeah. It's when you get to do the uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That it kind of forms you. It kind of makes you kind of get, I don't know, you do something long enough, you're kind of in this particular shape, and this is what people expect you to do. And then, if you break outside that mold, it kind of makes you uncomfortable, and it turns you into somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which it really did. It did for me. It really changed who I was and what I did every day when I woke up.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and kind of the theme of this is, dreams and recapturing dreams and things like that. And, you played baseball and all that as you were a youngster, but at some point you had a dream to be in business and be an accountant. But that dream shifted to what?
I want to be a successful business owner, but I tell you, when I'm thinking about a couple families in particular recently, that I met over the holidays, they were really going through a tough time. And, trying to navigate the world that I'm in, without some kind of guidance can be scary. It's tough, can be confusing. And just knowing that I helped that family through a tough situation. And I got to visit one of my clients that just moved here from Texas yesterday. I visited her yesterday. She moved here a couple weeks ago. It was a big deal for her and her husband to pack up and move here. And it was so gratifying to see how happy they were. They're closer to family. They're in a really great community, close to some great health care, which they particularly weren't out in Texas. So, knowing that I've helped that family through that difficult journey, it's very gratifying. Yes, it's nice to get a check in the mail, and deposit that in the bank.
But the dream is really changing people's lives.
I mean, what I do is not very transactional. I tell my clients this all the time. I'm not selling a sandwich. I'm not selling a cup of coffee.
Well, tell folks a little bit what it is that you do.
So what I do,
it is a bit of a unique.
I didn't even know that it existed. It just, when it came my way, I was like, what is this? So I'm the franchise owner here in North Georgia of Assisted Living Locators, and we help families find assisted living, memory care, and independent living. So when that family has a loved one that necessarily can't be at home anymore, they come to me for guidance to help them find the right senior living care.
And it's not necessarily skilled nursing. They're still independent to a certain degree. They still have some freedom to be able to do things.
Correct. So this is not somebody that might need a really high level of care of 24-hour skilled nursing. This is a family member that might be on cognitive decline. It's not safe for them to be at home. They might be dealing with some sort of dementia. This is a family member that may be falling a lot. And it's not safe to be in their home anymore, because we certainly don't want broken hips, things like that. So these are retirement communities that family members can get the assistance that they need with whatever it is: bathing, grooming, medicine management, getting help getting to the dining room, getting dressed every day. Some of the things that we do every day that they just can't do at home anymore.
Well, and I know Artemis and I were talking just the other day, 10 years ago when her mom was living with us. And there was a window, maybe a little bit longer than 10 years ago, but where we wish we had known somebody like you before, because it's like she can't be on her own anymore. And what are we going to do?
It's a consulting service. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of working with. It is. It's a lot of working with families. Sometimes there's siblings involved, and they don't always get along. Or have different ideas for what's right for mom and dad. But it's a lot of listening. It's a lot of helping. And just providing information so that the families can make the best decision for their families. I'm not making any decisions for them. I'm helping them get along to find that right decision for their loved one, that right senior living care. And even if it's not assisted living, not everybody's ready to go yet. I've got people in my network that do all kinds of things within the senior industry. So I help families with hospice referrals and home care referrals, durable medical equipment, a lot of things in the senior space that families need. I'm kind of that one-stop shop to help them. And best of all, there's no cost for my service too. So I help families at no cost, and we get compensated by the community, but with a referral fee. So, but the way I run my business is, I don't like to have repeat customers. I like to help that family one time. I hope that if I help your family, then you tell 2 or 3 of your friends. That, hey, Greg really helped me out, did a great job. And so, it's kind of unique that I don't want to have repeat customers. But that's the way it is. I want to make sure we find that right.
in my kind of simplified way of thinking about it, I see you as like a broker, a real estate broker,
Almost.
assistant that,
It's almost,
except you're not selling anything. You're
Yeah.
just, helping people find a
yes,
place. And that location is who compensates you for.
Yeah,
It's not the family.
yeah, I mean, the communities are kind of my business partners as well, because they're one, frankly, who are paying me, but, I'm the kind of their boots on the ground as well.
Yeah.
Working, they all have their own sales representatives there at their communities, but, I'm out there spreading the word for them as well. So, it's a partnership.
Yeah.
I want to advocate for them.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that I present their community in the right way to my clients,
Yeah.
to the families that I help, so that, again, gives them the opportunity to make the right decisions.
So, as you've built this business for 5 years, because you and I started
Almost
my
7
business, is
Almost
it 7 years?
Yeah, almost
Yeah,
7 years.
I started my business 5 years ago, so
Yeah.
it was just a little bit before mine. And I know we've worked in the past and worked together and kind of helping you to plan out some things that you wanted to do.
Right.
So what is your dream for where you want your business to go in the next few years? What's your dreams now?
My dream is to be that local resource
Yeah.
for that people think of right away. Hey, I've got a friend of mine that's in the senior industry. He will help you with that.
Yeah.
And that the community knows that I'm going to help them and get them into the right, make the right connection.
Yeah.
For whoever's in my network.
Yeah.
I want to be able to help as many families as I can find a safe and secure home for their loved one.
Yeah.
And I want to build a business. Yes, like I said, I want to be successful and build a business. But I also want to have that reputation of being that advocate for families.
Yeah.
My reputation means a lot to me.
Yeah.
In this industry, because I'm dealing with families, their emotions, their money, certainly,
Yeah.
and I don't take that lightly.
Yeah.
So I just want to be that go-to person, known in the community as that go-to person that can make the connections they need right away.
What is something, or maybe a couple of things, when you talk about reputation in business, and reputation is, if we don't have a good reputation, we're not so small.
Yeah.
What are a couple of things that you've found that work really well, and maybe what's something that could kill your reputation, where you've seen other people kill their reputation, like almost instantly, that we won't go away?
Yeah, I think for me, it's, I do lead with my heart, and sometimes that, gets me in trouble, and I do, families don't always take my advice and don't listen, and that hurts. You can ask my wife, she can see it on my face, it's just kind of, this family's just not making the right decision for their loved one, at least in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I think that means a lot, because the flip side of it is, the families that I do help, they can see that this isn't just, it's not a sale to me. Like I said, it's not, what I do is not transactional.
Yeah.
So it means something to me. So I think for me, just being myself, that shows through to the families that I help. And that, on the flip side of that, I don't push my clients to do anything.
Yeah.
Or push them in a particular community that their loved ones won't succeed.
Yeah.
It's got to be the right community. If you've got somebody who's really having a hard time getting around, they need a lot of help, why would we go to a 2 or 3 level community if they're going to have to navigate an elevator, long hallways to get to the dining room 3 times? That's not the right way to go.
Yeah.
The place is probably beautiful and has a lot of amenities, but their loved ones not going to succeed there.
Yeah.
And so I think not just pushing my clients to make a decision just so I can ring the bell, make that sale.
Yeah. I think I'm thinking in terms of a way taught that in sales. That is, sell what the customer needs, not what you want the customer to buy.
Yeah.
Right?
I like being a problem solver.
Yeah.
What I'm doing is, it's a big problem.
Yeah.
Typically families that are coming to me, they're typically still in their career.
Yeah.
They may still have kids at home.
Yeah.
And they've got aging parents.
And they may be the ones who are actually paying for
They may be helping
facility.
out. Yeah, exactly. So they've got a pain point.
Yeah.
They don't have the time, they don't have the resources or the knowledge to find a community that's going to take care of their mom or dad.
Yeah.
So I'm hopefully solving a problem.
Yeah. But it is so key to solve their problem.
Yeah.
Not solve your problem.
Right.
Yeah.
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 Exactly. Yeah. It's not my problem to solve.
Yeah.
It's I take that family's situation. Every family that calls me, I take their situation and try to put myself in their shoes.
Yeah.
What's going to be the best solution for them.
Sure.
And that's why I say sometimes they don't listen, and it hurts. But I'm there for them. Whenever they need me, and I've had that happen.
Yeah.
Families, they call, I help them a little bit, and they disappear.
Yeah.
And then they call a few months later in a crisis mode.
Yeah.
And so, but I'm there for them.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't reject them for even that.
No. No, it's a very tough decision. Nobody ever wants to, leave their home. They might have been in for 40 or 50 years. It's tough. You got to downsize.
Yeah.
So you may not be able to keep everything that you have. It's very emotional.
So, so you and I both took our businesses through COVID as well.
Yeah.
Which,
Yeah, that
oh
was
my gosh, that was fun, wasn't it?
that was a fun year.
Yeah.
For me, I had started middle of 2018.
Yeah.
Kind of got going in 19, and then everything shut down.
Yeah.
And so, I couldn't go market to some of my top referral partners because you couldn't get into the healthcare spaces.
And you couldn't even place people for a while.
Yeah, a lot of
communities.
communities. Well, nobody really wanted to go there because of all the negative attention that the media was putting on. And it was tough. Families couldn't go see their loved ones, or it's behind a window, a screen. So that was a tough year. But that's kind of when you and I got connected through networking, and I did a lot of networking. I did a lot of Zoom calls. Anybody that wanted to meet for coffee, I did. I tried to stay busy. I didn't sit back and go, "Woe is me."
Yeah.
And so I tried to keep busy, tried to still make those connections. And then, by the end of the year, when vaccine was coming out, community started loosening up. The phone started ringing. Yeah. And that was a cool feeling.
Yeah. Things started to turn around.
Yeah. So because at the end of 20, we're kind of thinking, my wife and I, it's like, well, geez, is this something that's going to be viable? If this thing doesn't lift, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
But then, like I said, the phone started ringing.
Yeah.
All those connections that I had made during the year started calling.
Yeah.
And, families started being a little more willing to let their loved ones go to assisted living. So, we came out of it in 21. I said, okay, I can make this work.
Yeah.
With your help, we doubled it in 2022.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. And so, we just kind of, kept this thing rolling down the track.
Yeah.
And, just enjoyed, we can look back on that time and just say, I made it through.
Yeah. That was a fun time too, coming out of it.
Yeah.
So what are your challenges these days?
There's a lot of, in my space, there's a lot of consolidation of properties. Some communities are closing down, some are changing hands, changing management. So really trying to keep up with all that. Last year was a lot going on. So, I'm fortunate I've got a lot of folks in my network, my friendly competitors, that we do stay in contact with each other and we try to, help each other out, try to keep up to speed with what's going on in the industry, because we're all doing it for the right reasons.
Yeah.
We want to put families first.
Yeah.
And we want to make sure that we are staying knowledgeable of what's going on in the senior care industry. So, but yeah, there's been a lot of changes as far as ownership management in some of the communities.
Well, and in the senior care, there is a construction boom that's going on.
Yeah.
Isn't there?
Oh yeah.
So there's a lot of, I don't know if it's assisted living or if it's more senior or if it's like pre-assisted living. But I know there's like these communities that are just.
It's all of that. It's 55 plus communities.
Yeah.
It's assisted living communities that not only provide assisted living, but also independent living.
Yeah.
So you can start off with independent living.
Yeah.
And then if you need to add those services, you can.
Yeah.
If you get on the, dementia journey, then they've got a memory care,
Yeah.
Neighborhood as well. So, it's all of that. It's because, there's so many people turning 65 every day.
Yeah.
We're kind of got about 7 more years of the baby boomers until about, 2030 or so-ish, 5 or 6 more years of that. We're all living longer.
Yeah.
We all have
healthier.
We're trying to live healthier, but we all have chronic issues.
Yeah.
So you may have a bad back, or you may have bad knees, or you may end up being on that dementia journey.
Yeah.
So the need.
I have 2 of those, but
most of us do.
Which.
Most of us do. Most of us do. But it's most people. I saw something. 70 to 80% of us are going to need some sort of care when we reach, our 70s.
Yeah.
And, as we were talking before this, you and I are both kind of getting there. We're kind of getting in that zone. So, so it's not just the baby boomers that are coming along. There's our generation too that's coming along. We're living longer. We're going to have these chronic issues. Is somebody going to be able to take care of me at home? Or do I need to move to a nice retirement community where I can be in a safe environment?
So it's not that there isn't clientele for you out there. It's more a change in the industry that's your big challenge. How do you address that?
Yeah, it's definitely not. There's plenty of people out there to help. That need that help. You just go on any social media platform that has a certain channel for people that need senior care.
Yeah.
And there's just so many people out there that are trying to find answers.
Yeah.
So I know the need is out there.
Yeah.
It's really just finding those communities that are correctly managed.
Yeah.
Have a steady leadership group that are financially sound, and so knowing.
So you research all of that on behalf of the families.
Yeah. So what I'm doing, I'm trying to keep my ear to the ground is what's going on with those communities. There's a lot of turnover in the industry, and just like any business, if you don't have good leadership at the top, or steady leadership at the top, you can't really build a culture, and that trickles down to the staff.
Yeah.
So, what I'm looking for is, an executive director that's got some history, that's been there with the community, or a wellness director. Those people that are in the leadership positions at those communities, because then you can build a culture of care.
Yeah.
And not every community's like that. No community is 100%.
Right.
They all have their challenges.
Yeah.
But we try to work with those communities that we know that are got stable management, hopefully financially strong, and can provide that care. So I'm trying to stay on top of what's going on.
I would think that a lot of families that are out there, they just go and look at someplace, and if it's pretty, and people are friendly to us, then it must be a good place.
Yeah.
But you kind of, you're kind of pulling back to cover a little bit and understand a little bit more of the dynamics.
I
could go into someplace like that in 3 months, 6 months down the road, be like, oh my gosh, this is not what we bought into.
Yeah. So every client that comes to me, we're doing an intake.
Yeah.
And basically we're trying to find out what their care needs are, where they want to be, what location, what their budget is. And so, those don't always line up to what I'm looking for first.
Yeah.
You know, I'm looking more at what their care level is.
Yeah.
Or what their care needs are. Most families are like, how much is this gonna cost me?
Yeah.
You know, and then can it be just down the road from me, so it's convenient?
Yeah.
So, you know, that doesn't always match up with what they need for care.
Yeah.
Not every place that has memory care on their sign outside, you know, really does a memory care program the right way.
Yeah.
So, you know, we look at that, or I make recommendations on that. And that may not be the place down the road.
So you're the expert.
I try to be
truly
the
are
expert.
the expert.
Yes.
Yeah.
I try to be that person. That's why I said, if I'm not known for anything else in this industry, I want to be known for, you know, first of all, being somebody who really cared, but also, you know, I knew what I was talking about.
Yeah.
And gave good advice.
Yeah.
And it worked out for them.
Yeah.
You know, does it always happen? You know,
Yeah.
doesn't always happen, but, you know, I'm always there. If the community should not uphold its end of the deal,
Yeah.
and somebody does need to move, then, you know, hopefully that family calls me back again.
So one of the things I'm seeing is there's a lot of optimism in the business world. There's still some anxiety. There's still some nervousness about what's going on.
Right.
You know, the stock market is still kind of doing some crazy things.
Right.
Other things that are out there, but most business owners, you know, that I'm talking to, they feel like there are good days ahead, and even with the risk and everything, it's going to be some good things.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Are you kind of sensing that yourself?
As a business owner, yes. So, you know, the area we live in, it's, you know, we've got great opportunities here in the area that we live in, and throughout North Georgia.
Yeah.
You know, some of the most affluent counties are in my territory, so you know that's always a plus, because it does cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
To be in assisted living.
Yeah.
But so as a business owner, yes, you know, I'm very optimistic.
Yeah.
You know, for my families, I think we were talking about it earlier. For my families, you know, they're looking at that 401k,
Yeah.
because or their retirement plan, whatever, because that's how they're paying for assisted living.
Right.
It's coming out of their savings.
Yeah.
You know, if they don't have a long-term care insurance policy or
Yeah.
something like that. But so yeah, when things were not good during the pandemic and the market wasn't doing so well and everybody's retirement plan was kind of dwindling away, yeah, it was tough. You know, asking a family to pay $4,000 or $5,000 a month for assisted living on average. You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, just having the opportunity to be a business owner in this economic environment is, you know, that's not something I'm worried about.
So as you've taken this journey, I think there's some things that I think of that, you know, having that accounting, having that business background, is so essential for your foundation for how you run business, how you manage through some of those hard times. Yeah, because if you hadn't been controlling some of that, you probably wouldn't have made it.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, I mean, because there were a lot of people back then that had no idea what their money was and where it was.
Right.
I mean, you at least knew how much you weren't making. Right?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, but you know, I had to you know, manage it. You know, did have some capital, so I was still kind of in startup mode.
Yeah, yeah.
So you know, just having that background of financial planning and strategic planning. You know, very fortunate in my career to be on some leadership teams with some great leaders around me that I learned a lot from.
Yeah.
That, you know, does help me in my business.
Yeah. But I think the other piece was listening to that, you know, soft voice within yourself, you know, that was saying, Greg, I have a different plan for you, you know, very early on, which is essential for, I think, business owners to be in tune.
Yeah, and I did. One of the other positive things that came out of 2020 was, you know, I sat behind a desk doing spreadsheets for forever. I didn't have to go out and network. I didn't have to go out and be a sales and marketer.
Yeah.
And when you have your own business,
Yeah.
unless you hire somebody to do that for you,
Yeah.
you know, I was out there doing my own business development.
Yeah.
And that's a skill set that I just didn't have.
Yeah.
So, you know, that downtime really gave me some time to look at myself. So, okay, here's what are my strengths.
Yeah.
And what are my weaknesses?
Yeah.
Well, I know I can run the books.
Yeah.
You know I can keep this thing afloat.
Yeah.
But to have some numbers to count, you got to get out there and drum up some business.
Yeah.
And be able to break out of that comfort zone of going to a networking meeting that you don't know anybody and walking into a room and starting up a conversation with someone. You know, hey, what do you do?
Yeah.
What's your business?
Yeah.
You know, what are your challenges? A lot of the questions you're asking me, or just start a conversation with someone. That was a skill set I definitely had to learn. So, yeah, I had that background of being able to analyze numbers and look at KPIs, build a strategic plan. But like you said, if you don't have the numbers to count, then what's good for, right? So definitely had to work on that skill set of just being a good networker, looking at who do I know that can help you out in your business?
Yeah.
You know, not being all about me.
Yeah.
How can you help me?
Yeah, in networking, too many people do that. They walk into a room expecting to get tons of business right when they walk out.
Handing out business cards.
Yeah.
That's right. That was me. That was the first 2 years.
Yeah.
Until we met.
Yeah.
And in our networking group and really learned some tools. It's hard to believe 5 years ago, we were kind of starting to shut things down.
Yeah.
But later, really working on that skill to be a better, not only be a better business owner, to be a better networking partner.
Yeah. So, if somebody has a dream to do something, right? If you had a dream, to minister to seniors, if there's a person who's watching and they're like toying with this dream, whatever they want to do, what's a bit of advice that you have learned over the last 7 years that you would say to them as they're contemplating?
Yeah, well, for me, I told you I went through a business broker.
Yeah.
And they come with options. There's a lot of things you can do out there.
Yeah.
And some of them were financial in nature, and I just didn't want to have another business around. I wanted to do something different.
Yeah.
And so what this guy found through just a conversation was, that ministry you do at your, there's a franchise that does that helps seniors.
Yeah.
Okay, let's hear more about that, because I knew that that was something I really cared about and that I was really passionate about. And, if I'm not a very handy guy, I would not be able to run a painting franchise, or a handyman company. It's just not something that I'm passionate about.
Yeah.
You got to find something that you just love doing.
Yeah.
And because there's going to be good days and there's going to be bad days, and when those bad days come, you gotta pick yourself up and say, I'm going to go do this again.
Yeah.
And then the good times come.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's finding something. At least that was it for me. It was finding something that really it touched my heart.
Yeah.
That, I felt passionate about.
Yeah.
And that when I knew things weren't going very well, I was going to say, okay, well, how can I get this better?
Yeah.
What can I do next?
I love that you have to have the passion that'll drive you through the tough times.
Yeah, because being a business owner it's a roller coaster. I know you talk to a lot of business owners, and some days you feel like you're killing it. Yeah. And you know it all, and you're the greatest one that's ever done this. Yeah. And then there's those days it's like, why did I do this?
Yeah.
What am I doing?
Especially in the early years of business.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, there's more hard days than there are
happy
days.
Yeah,
but
so
you gotta be driven.
resilient, yeah,
Yeah.
passionate.
Willing to learn the stuff that you don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that was me. I came from outside the healthcare industry. I didn't.
Yeah.
But there's been times where I've been on the phone with case managers, and they are, they're spouting out different acronyms and stuff for what's going on, and I'm like on Google trying to type up, okay, what does she mean? What does that mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that happens.
Yeah.
That happens. So yeah, always trying to learn more.
Yeah.
And how I can, not only be a better business owner, but how can I be better for my clients, my families.
I love that. I love your story. I love that your ministry turned into your business.
Yeah.
You know me.
Yeah.
That's kind of what got me to here.
Yeah.
Is my ministry turned into coaching,
Yeah.
helping business owners to do that.
Yeah, and I think that's, when we first met, I mean, we kind of shared that experience with each other right off the bat. And that's what kind of, I kind of clicked with both of us. Is, hey, we're kind of coming from the same path.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, it was kind of nice to hear that because I was a new business owner and I wasn't sure if there was anybody else there like me that was crazy, just like, I'm just going to go do this. I'm going to unplug from my,
God told me I'm supposed to do this, so I better go do it.
Yeah, so, having a career that I was doing well in, and, but, just something was missing. And, having that conversation with my wife and saying, I think we're going to try this, and having that support, we had very similar stories.
Greg, thank you so much for coming out.
Well, thanks for asking me. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Got the nice fire pit going here.
Yeah.
And
even though it's a little chilly, it's not too.
Yeah, we done this last week. It was 75.
Yeah,
I did it in shorts.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well.
But no, this is great. I appreciate you asking me to do this with you. And
been a few months since we've seen each other, so
yeah,
we had this to get back together. So.
Awesome. Yep.
For those of you out here, thank you so much for watching. I want to send a thank you out to Fist Bump again for everything that they do behind the scenes and making this happen. I have to tell you, I enjoy these conversations every week. It's just been so much fun. Some of the things that are coming up in the next couple of weeks. Next week, going to have another good friend, Kirk Driscoll. I don't know if you know Kirk. Kirk has a great story of overcoming some demons in his life and how he has done that and is tremendously successful. Again, doing some ministry-oriented things with men who suffer with addiction. And so excited to hear about his story. But he also is, I'll take it away because he's already announced it, will be running for Alpharetta City Council.
There you go.
So it's very involved in Alpharetta. So happy to have him on. And then in a couple of weeks, we're going to have Brandon Lee, who is the founder and owner of Fist Bump, and hearing his story and where he came from and some exciting things there. So happy about that. If you're out there and you're like, gee, I'm a business owner, I'd love to be on the show, comment, reach out to me. I'd love to bring you on, let you tell your story. It's a great thing. And if you're out there as well, and I don't know if you picked up on Greg saying, yeah, we doubled our revenue that one year. I did love hearing that right away. Thank you for that. That little plug, I appreciate it. If you would like to experience that sort of thing, I would love to help you to take your business to the dreams that you want to have. And so, please, you can reach out to me and like and comment here on my YouTube. I do ask, subscribe, like it, all that kind of stuff that you hear from all those people out there. It is just a way for us to play with their algorithms so that these get out to more people. And so the more people who like and subscribe, the more people who will see these videos and benefit from them. So appreciate that. Thank you all for joining us.